So Scott and I spoke together at NAM this year. I haven't seen him in a while. Wanted to catch up. This is probably the last, Zoom B2B Zoom I'll do this year. Being it's Friday, so
Yeah.
want to catch up. Tell me what's going on. I know you
Awesome.
mentioned you've been digging more into the AI piece. You had some great feedback at NAM on how to utilize that tool for content creation, but catch us up on what's going on.
Yeah, no, I'm continuing to immerse in AI. I think it's not only is it probably the biggest and most impactful thing that's happened in just the world, marketing, business, everything. It's advancing so quickly. And I think one of the coolest advancements that's come out is the ability that Chat GPT gave us to create what they call custom GPTs. And it, everybody has different words for it, but really they're these little chat bots. And what I find when I talk to a lot of people about AI is a lot of people think that AI is a thing. And AI really isn't a thing. AI, you want to think of AI as electricity. Now, what do you want to power with that electricity?
Mhm.
But it's the underlying energy that makes whatever you think of a reality. And anytime you see a product out there, like let's say like Jasper, right? Jasper is a really popular one.
Yeah.
Those are called wrappers. Those are AI wrappers. And what that means is it's basically a set of prompts that a set of instructions that they write, and then it connects to Chat GPT on the back end through an API.
Yep.
So what custom GPTs allow you to do is build those on your own. So we were just having this conversation before we pressed record. One of the things that I'm doing and that we talked about building for you is I do a lot of video. I want to turn those into blog posts, or I want to turn those into social media. Actually, at NAM, that's what we talked about, right? We talked about taking a single video transcript and then doing a series of prompts. Well, now we can create a little chat bot that already knows that that's what its job is. And so all you simply have to do is paste your transcript into it, and you can give it a preset set of instructions. So maybe your GPT, maybe you have one that says, um, I'm going to give you a transcript. And when I give you a transcript, I want you to write a blog post, write a Facebook post promoting the blog post, write a LinkedIn post promoting the blog post, and write an Instagram post promoting the blog post. And so you paste in the transcript and it just punches all those things out for you. There's no additional prompting required. So
That's awesome.
ex- expect to see more and more things powered by AI in 2024. And I also think 2024 is going to be a time that people are going to start digging deeper and starting to kind of wrap their head around what this is. I think most of us, when we start with a new technology, we just kind of dip our toe. And I would say that the overwhelming majority of your competitors right now are doing what's called zero shot prompting, which means you're using AI like a search engine. You ask it a question and it gives you an answer. But where people, I think, are going to start figuring out, especially if they're listening to us, is that there's a way to train the GPT to go deeper, to give you better content, to make it sound more like you, to give you better answers by training it on giving it context, right? And so that's something that I've been talking to a lot of people about. Uh, Primarily, think of it this way: the first thing that you want to do is tell it what you want it to tell it who it is. You're going to act as a copywriter in the financial services industry. You know SEO best practices. You understand online publishing and how to get people to read. And then you're going to give it a bunch of examples of things that you want it to do. A good example of this is, let's say you're doing a blog post about a topic, right? So what you do is you give it, here's 3 articles from the internet about this topic, and here's how I feel about these articles. I agree with these articles. I disagree with these articles. And so you're giving it some context. So now you told it how you want it to act. You told it, you gave it a bunch of context from which to create output from, and now you start asking it questions, right? And you're going to find when you go through those steps, you're going to get a much better result, a much more unique result, a much more interesting result. And yeah,
Well, that's actually like one of the concerns I've had with ChatGPT, as we look to it to do some assist with the SEO work we do, and um, like, at some point Google's gonna, if you're doing none of the prompts and actually like training it to be really you, essentially, or an extension of you, isn't Google gonna just be like, oh yeah, that's just a boilerplate ChatGPT output? And
no, technologically, Google's doesn't know the difference, and it's not going to be able to know the difference. One of the things that we saw when AI came out is there was a bunch of AI detectors that came out to try to discern whether or not it was AI, and they all failed miserably. Like they tried to use them in education, and they would get it right like half the time. Like it wasn't good. There is no, here's the thing. It gives you a different answer every single time, and it's just trying to guess. It's not really cheating
yeah,
because it's doing what you ask it to do. And so what you're going to see, though, you're right in your thinking, but what you're going to see is people they're not going to be creative when they're asking it to create content,
yeah,
right? And so the content is going to be real bland. It's not going to have insight. There's not going to be in introspection or perspective or experience behind the content. So people aren't going to read the content. They're going to look at it and they're going to say, this sounds like generic AI created content. And they're going to bounce. And
yeah.
then that's when Google's going to say, well, people aren't paying any attention to this content because it's not interesting.
Mhm. That's why the video transcription seems like you know a great first step, because if you're already creating the video content, that is your perspective, that is your
Yep.
key, that's all the things that you want for personal content, and then you're just using the assist to get it out in different formats. I think that's huge.
Listen, it's no different from hiring a copywriter and sending them your YouTube links and saying, write me a blog post about this. It's the exact same thing.
Yep.
It's the exact same thing. And except depending on how you set up the AI, it's either going to be a good copywriter or a bad copywriter.
Right.
But the great thing is it's kind of free. Take the time to learn how to make it a great copywriter. But you're right, using transcripts from your own videos is, I would call it the cheat code, because it's your voice, it's your inflection, it's your perspective, and it's just repurposing it.
Yep.
And I think repurposing has always been important, but I think that's got to be the thing that people focus on now. If you're going to make the effort to share your experience and your expertise, leverage these tools. And I guess that goes to the kind of the next big thing that I would want people to think about in 2024 is when you think of AI, don't think of automation. Don't think of how can I get it to do something without me being involved in it. Think of it as augmentation.
Yep.
AI is a reflection of your imagination. If whatever you can imagine that you can ask it to do, it's going to assist you with it. It's not going to do it for you, but it can augment what you're already doing. And that's really the power of this. That's when we are able to become exponentially more effective and efficient by leveraging these tools um, to 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 repurpose. I do it once, and then I can repurpose it and use it all these times.
Wait, so just to be clear, I'm talking to the real Scott Schang, not an avatar that
It,
you built in
hey,
your sleep.
Hey, yeah, Hey Gen is getting really, really close to being able to just take like 30 seconds of a clip and recreate video. You're going to see that in 2024. That's going to get really good, where you'll be able to just you can dictate. You don't even have to dictate. You can just take copy, upload it, and then it'll be a video of Anthony and Scott talking, and we will never have turned on our camera.
Literally whole different topic. Just for everybody watching, notice how he didn't directly answer the question, so that still could be an avatar.
I am the real Scott. The AI's not that good yet.
That's so so it'll learn your voice, your kind of mannerisms, and
Yep.
then just like pumping in, you just literally put in a transcript and it will ingest that. And wow.
Yeah. Yeah. What you can tell that it's not real yet because it's like the face they got really, really good,
Yeah.
but there's something weird about the body and the neck. Like it still doesn't look like a human being, but
Yeah.
it's getting really, really good. And I would say first quarter of 2024, you're going to be able to create video that is indistinguishable from regular video.
That's wild. I
Yeah.
almost get when people ask me about AI, and I'm not nearly as invested in like in it in the learning process as you are. I know you're an early adopter and clearly kind of on the forefront of what's going on. So I'm asking you questions just like people ask me questions because I actually really don't know and I'm curious. But it seems like when all these tools came out so fast, there was like a bunch of them, right? And
Yep.
I almost looked at it like the hair plug industry. It's like, do you want to be the first one that gets the first hair plugs? Then fast forward 10 years, the people that do that, you really can't tell. It seems like, I guess my question is, do you see tools? Is there going to be a lot of tools that just go away and then some that emerge as just kind of real leaders? I know it's not going to take 10 years. It might take 10 months. It seems like the time horizon is a lot shorter, but like it seems like there's an AI overwhelm when I look at the market. Like, how do you sift through that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's any different from any of the other tech stack solutions that we're bombarded with every single day.
Yeah.
Anytime you go to a conference, everybody's selling you a solution to something.
Yeah.
Um, no, that you're 100% going to see that, and we actually saw that with ChatGPT. So when ChatGPT came out, all of the coders and the engineers knew how to use the API to write these wrappers, to put these wrappers around it. And so you saw a lot of products that were like search the internet with AI or scan a PDF, right? And give me an example of a PDF. Well, now ChatGPT does that natively. And so all of those companies went away. Again, AI is like electricity. So people are going to create new tools and new machines that are going to be powered with this technology. And let's remember all AI is an algorithm that is designed that it's what's cool about it is it's designed to mimic the neural pathways of the human brain. So what it does is it takes information and it tries to predict the next thing that you're going to ask it based on the previous input. So it's just a way of processing data. So yeah, it is going to be a part of everything moving forward, whether you know it or not. It already is a part of almost everything that you use now, whether you know it or not, in some capacity. I mean, it's kind of what a search engine is. It's what you type into Google and it finishes your response. It's predicting what you're going to ask it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's so yeah, you're going to see a lot of things rise and fall. It's the buzzword of 2023. It's going to be the buzzword of 2024. Um, don't get don't get sucked into the sexiness of, hey, this is AI powered. It's not that big of a deal, and it's not going to solve your problems. And if you can pay somebody a monthly fee to get the power of AI, so can everybody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it just ends up being baseline again. So yeah, I would just encourage people to kind of wrap their head and understand what the technology represents and figure out ways to use it in your business. Like I said, to create automations where you can free up space so you can spend more time thinking about things beyond beyond like I think that's the biggest shift, Anthony, and it's not necessarily a product, but what it is going to do is it's going to allow us to spend less time doing $10, $50, even $100 an hour work, right? And then we can start focusing on $1,000 an hour ideas and
Mhm.
$10,000 an hour ideas. So when you can take some of those menial repetitive tasks off your hands, then you can spend more time really thinking about, how do I differentiate myself? How do I create value for my customer and for my employees and things like that.
What do you find yourself using it for, either for you or people you're consulting with the most right now?
I think some of the coolest things that I'm doing with it right now is um, I'm doing SWOT and gap analysis work with it. And here's what I mean. Uh, our customer's first impression is typically our website and our reviews,
Mhm.
right? So what I'm doing is I'm using AI to analyze a website, and then analyze reviews. So I'm taking two or 300 Google reviews, putting it into AI. So one of AI's superpowers is analyzing data and looking for patterns. So what I do is I ask it to go through the reviews, look for patterns in the reviews. What are the top five? I'll ask it, what are the top five words or phrases that appear in the positive reviews? And what are the top five phrases that appear in the negative reviews? Then I'll do the same thing for a competitor. So you put in the competitor's website, and then you put in the competitor's reviews, and then a gap analysis. It will compare the customer feedback, and it will say their reviews show that they have more positive reviews on this aspect and you don't. And
Mm.
so that's an opportunity for you to focus on those things. So it can reinforce the positive things that you're doing. And again, this is, we are who our customers say we are.
Yep.
We are what our customers see on our website. And
Yep.
that's why I love Vonk websites. They're beautiful websites. They're easy to read, they're easy to digest, and there's so much flexibility, especially with your blogging capabilities. You have the ability to share your experience and your expertise. So I think it's so important that you have an online presence that represents who you are uniquely as a business or a business owner. And so that's what I'm using. That's what I've been using it for. And then you can ask it to do a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And then that gives you a different perspective.
Yeah.
That's really what I think it is as entrepreneurs, we spend so much time in the trees, we don't see the forest. But
Sure.
what AI allows us to do is put a mirror up to how we are seen by our consumer and see that reflection and potentially get a different perspective on how we're perceived. And then using that business intelligence. So, my short answer is I use it to redefine business intelligence, right? And so look at the data in a different way. Look for new ways to perceive your business and look for new ways, new opportunities um, to take advantage of your competitors' weaknesses. An interesting one that I did one of these gap analyses off of the customer reviews, and we took all of the client reviews and
One question. Do you have to manually feed those in?
yeah, you do for the most part. So there's a website out there called Bird's Eye,
Mhm.
and Bird's Eye is sort of
Yeah,
an
I've heard.
aggregator of reviews. So it will pull in Google reviews, and sometimes it can see it. But the best way to do it is to copy and paste the Google reviews. And what was interesting is what the AI recognized in the SWOT analysis. It said all of these reviews mention you. So there's a heavy reliance on just you. So if you ever want to grow your business and not be the single point of contact,
Dancing bear.
you want to do that. So, and we don't think about this, right? So let's say I'm a solopreneur, but I want to start building a team. So 2024 rates are going to come back down. We're going to go through a growth spurt, right? If you don't want to be the only point of contact for your business growth, you need to start collecting reviews or start asking for reviews that talk about their experience, not you personally, right? So if all of the reviews say Anthony is the greatest, ask for Anthony. Well, guess what? Every single person is going to ask for Anthony. Anthony's never going to be able to build a business
Yep.
because he's too busy working in his business.
Yep. Yep.
So it's that kind of cool perspective, that kind of cool stuff that maybe you didn't think about that. And then when it reflects that back to you, you're like, oh man, I don't want to be the only one with a shovel.
Yeah.
I want to hire people and give them shovels
Yeah.
to dig holes. That's how I want to grow my business.
Oh, that's good. While you were talking about the reviews, I started thinking about, wouldn't it be great if you could do that with like, and this is why I asked manually. I think it'd be too overwhelming manually, but if you could plug it into your email and be like, tell me all, like, look at all the questions I'm asking, like find patterns and common questions, and maybe that could be content for upfront in your marketing because you're like, oh, most people are asking these 5 things. We'll just address them up front. That would be a cool idea. Same with support, like a ticketing system. If you have that, it'd be great to be able to go in, and maybe some of the softwares do that already, but analyze um, a lot of the common even errors or common tickets you're getting and just fix the ones
Yes.
you're getting over and over.
Yeah. Those types of automations, those types of customer support tickets, that's something that AI is really, really good at. And actually, if you use things like Zapier, um, you can you can do things. For instance, like you can have it when a new Google review comes in, pull it in. Well, or you can, let's say you do it with an email. Uh, if you have an email and you put it in a specific folder or a tag through Zapier, you can say, when a new email appears in this folder, read it, write a response to it, and then it'll put the response like in a spreadsheet, and then you can copy and paste the response to send it back to it. But you're absolutely on the right track. Um, Filtering data, analyzing data, responding to things, reading it, understanding it, and responding to it. All of those things you can absolutely do. And it's going to get easier and easier and easier to do it. So you're going to start finding, well, you probably, a lot of CRMs already do this, but there'll be Outlook plugins and the browser plugins that'll automatically create responses for your emails. I'm pretty sure those are already out there.
Probably. It seems like someone would have jumped on that already.
But to your point though, one of the things I've been saying this for 10 years, the best source of content is the sent folder in your email box. Because every time somebody asks you a question and you respond, you can take and download all of those questions from your emails, put them in a chat GPT and have it say, what are the 10 most common questions that are asked?
Yeah.
I've also said this a million times. There are not 10,000 questions about qualifying for a mortgage. There are 10 questions asked 10,000 ways.
Yeah.
So you can analyze that data, break it down, and then say, okay, I'm going to focus on this content.
Yeah. I mean, I know for me, because I do a lot of the demos here, like I see the patterns, like intuitively, I know what the common questions are, but it would just be great to memorialize those and repurpose them in a way that addresses them so they stop becoming common questions. Not that I don't want to answer them over and over, but we may be, as a business for myself, I may be losing people that aren't willing to ask the questions and then kind of filling in the narrative gap with either maybe they don't do it or whatever they decide on their own versus getting the information for us. I'm probably losing people that way. And just the same thing for, doesn't matter if it's mortgage industry or anybody in sales, like you're losing, some people will be deterred if they are too confused. So if you can address some of the common things in advance, I think that could be pretty powerful.
Yeah, I think another one of the most powerful strategies that I would encourage people to think about implementing in 2024 is have all of your discovery call conversations on Zoom and record it, because there's two types of content that we can put out there. There's evergreen content, which is the same questions everybody asks, and then there's timely and relevant, which usually is more specific to the market.
Yep.
And like in this market where we've got dropping interest rates, so it's the trend is rates are dropping, but they're still pretty high historically. Record those conversations. You can take that transcript and turn that into a timely and relevant, because for every person that asks you that question, there's an exponentially larger number of people that have that question. Right. So if you record those discovery calls, you can put that transcript into ChatGPT and come up with 3 articles or 3 blog posts or 10 social media posts that say, hey, I'm getting these questions in today's market. If you have these questions, here's the answer, because you already gave the answer in the call. So those are kind of the smart ways to use AI to augment what you're already doing. It's not creating something from scratch. It's taking a conversation you're already having and turning it into something that can benefit more people.
They should rename it augmented intelligence.
Well, yeah, I actually, I stopped. I don't use artificial intelligence. I use augmented intelligence or augmented imagination. I think AI is a mirror for your imagination. Anything you can possibly imagine, it'll give you a feedback loop, and it'll show you what you're thinking based on what you give it. And then you're like, I thought I was thinking this, but based on what you're telling me, it looks like I was actually talking about this.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. So expand the way you think about it. It's not an easy button, but it is probably one of the single most powerful communication tools that we've ever seen and that we ever will see.
All right. Well, you sold me. I'm going to have to get back into ChatGPT so get a little bit more sophisticated.
I'll always geek out with you. You know that.
Well, this was awesome, man. That's always good to talk to you. Interesting dude. Hopefully we can do more of this next year, kind of track, by the end of next year, you're going to be like the conversation. I might not even be able to understand what you're talking about in the year.
No, I try to keep things as simple as I can. But I mean, it's the real deal. I encourage people to at least understand it So they're not tricked into investing in something because it has this as seen on TV sticker. It's like, don't get romanced by the fluff and the clickbait, but really understand this tool and where it's going, um, and start thinking about ways to use it in your business for
Awesome.
sure.
Well, happy New Year, Scott.
Absolutely, brother. Good catching up with you, and let's do this again soon.
Absolutely. Until next time.